today? Are you going to do the same thing today you did yesterday and expect a different result? Change what you think, change what you do, and tomorrow will be different from today. You know why it's so simple for me? Because I have a lot of experience. You can only change your tomorrows by changing yourself today.
Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, Always Within podcast. We have a little difficulty, so bear with us to open cameras and putting strength to win all the wires and mounting them up on the table. So, the family show. Family friendly.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. The view. I was doing it, but we didn't give up. We need to get busy. Are we ready here, or are we going? Oh, it sounds pretty good. What? You don't make it that close. Yeah.
I'm not too close now.
No, you're not. No.
Come on, our guests are waiting. Like here, or you want to further away? Not up here. Okay, I just an example. Come on, let's go. We gotta go. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
All right, let's go. We got it halfway through. Tonight's topic's going to be divorce.
Right, tropical.
Last week I was in Pennsylvania, as many of you know, and we missed one last week, and we were back doing craziness. Tonight's topic is going to be divorce. The reason I brought that up is because young men need to know the risks and rewards of marriage. I'm not telling you to get married or not to. It hasn't worked out too well for me. But then again, it depends on what you consider successful marriage. Just because I got divorced doesn't mean that I didn't have some successful years. And I did have these 6 kids and several more, as you know. So, I learned a lot from kids, great experiences, not so great experiences. It all turned out, if I hadn't been through that, I wouldn't be here today. And I can share my experience with you, so maybe I can help you to avoid some pitfalls that I had when I was listening. So first, let's talk about the many people don't know the risk. In Missouri, we're talking about divorce in Missouri, but these laws kind of generally are true throughout the U.S. Some, are we okay? Some are more stringent than others, but we'll talk about the ones here in my state. So here I got the laws right in front of me.
Oh yeah, I freaking got it, dude.
You got it? Okay.
Got it.
So some questions here you may want to ask. Well, many people agree to this contract to marriage.
Hey, I'm watching.
Okay, bring him on. Hey, what's up?
What's up?
What's up? Wait a second. Frank's blowing us out with the volume here.
Oh wait, it's too loud.
Yeah, really loud.
It's like he's yelling at us. All right.
It's still
loud.
it's good. Frank, that's loud.
My audio.
Hang on, Mark.
I'm gonna take
Frank's got the volume on 25 here. But say something now.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
okay. It's
Still
a
just a
little
little
bit.
I turned it all the way off.
Can I turn it up a little bit?
Always a smart ass in the crowd. All right, say something, Mark.
Yeah,
that's
a
good.
word.
Okay. All right. Mark's joining me here, my oldest son, and we're talking about divorce. I was just getting into this, Mark. I was talking about the divorce laws here in Missouri. It's funny how people, and I did this too, people get married, but they never really sit down and look what they're signing a contract for. The possibilities of what could happen. I don't know if you're fading in and out here or something. I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said the terms.
Yeah, he's going in and out.
You're going in and out with your voice.
Yeah, it's the connection.
We are having a time. 1 week off and we're going to hell here.
Yeah, see how it goes down to red?
Oh, his connection's bad?
Yeah, it's right here, it's at red.
Okay, you got a bad connection, Mark. You got Wi-Fi better in some other part of the house? Or? Yeah, well, I'm going to continue here. Okay. Is Missouri a no-fault divorce state? Yes, Missouri allows no-fault divorces. What that means is it doesn't matter what you do or what she does. Well, I wouldn't say that. It does matter what you do as a man. But what she does as a woman doesn't make a lot of difference. I know a lot of people wouldn't believe that, but it's true. So if you come home and catch your wife in bed with another man, it doesn't matter. If she goes out and spends all the money, it doesn't matter. When you go to the divorce court, it doesn't matter. Now, if she doesn't take care of the kids and she's really a bad mother, and there is no chance for a reconciliation. There is no need for one spouse to blame the other or tell the court what caused the marriage to end. So what that's saying is it doesn't matter if she did not keep up with her part of the contract. Now, the contract of marriage is depending on which I've never read the legal contract of marriage. That's probably what I should try to punch up here. Let me see if there is such a thing. I don't know if there is. We all just assume there is. Legal contract of marriage in Missouri. Let's see what it says. I don't think legal documents, dissolution, post-nuptial agreement. That's an afterwards. Aggressive divorce lawyer. I don't think they have such a thing. No. Well, anyway, I guess everyone has in their mind what they think the idea of what a marriage is supposed to be. For the man, he thinks it's unlimited sex, of course, and she's going to be there and she's going to be faithful and loyal, and they're going to have kids, and if they want to have kids, and she's going to help raise those kids and be a good mother, and he is supposed to provide and protect her. That's pretty simple, but I don't even know really, to be honest, if it's written down anywhere. I know if you are married in the church, they have certain vows, but I don't know if that's considered a legal contract. I don't believe it is. But the bottom line is this: when you get to the divorce court, none of that really matters. It really doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Now, you have a prenuptial agreement. Prenuptial, isn't that what it's called? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, the material things you have in the money that you had before you married her, then that is set up to be distributed as such if you get divorced. But even that wears thin after a while because a judge can change that. Anything that you decide to agree upon before marriage, a judge can change that afterwards. That's why they have judges, because the laws are not concrete. Okay, no-fault divorces are typically faster and less expensive than fault-based divorces because there's no need to prove one spouse's fault at trial. Current Missouri law doesn't permit divorces based on fault grounds. So there again, you know this. I know a lot of guys still think that if their wife commits adultery, that really makes a difference in court. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't make any difference at all if she's unfaithful or if you're unfaithful. Well, I won't say that because men are held more accountable than women. So if you're unfaithful, there's a good chance the judge is going to lean more towards giving your wife what she wants more than what you desire. It's not cut and dried, black and white, 50-50, I'll guarantee you. Okay. So we go on down to this where we talks about the cost. The cost can be insurmountable for a man. Let me see. Okay, let's do this. Will a judge split our property 50-50? And that's what everybody hears, it's 50-50. Well, let's see what it says here. That, again, depends on the judge. In Missouri, divorce courts follow an equitable distribution of property, not a community property 50-50 approach. This means the judge will divide your marital property equitably or fairly, but not necessarily equally. And guess who gets to decide if it's fair? The judge. And you think he doesn't take into consideration the things that have happened during the marriage, how long you've been married, about the kids and all that. So there's no 50-50 like people say. I know women a lot of times want to be equal. They want to be married and they want to be 50-50 with their husbands. But most times, probably 90% of the time, the man always contributes more financially to the family than a woman does because men make more money in general. I have seen cases where the woman has had to pay child support. And that's actually what brought this on, because my son Mark, which I guess we can't have him on because the connection's bad, had sent me a thing with a man and woman in divorce court where the wife actually ended up having to pay a couple $1,000s a month child support. And something else I want to tell you guys is the child support is not based on what it takes to raise the child and care for the child. It's based on your income. And each year, at least in Missouri, she can take you back and raise that. So let's say you get divorced and you're making $50,000 or $70,000 a year, and you jump up your income to $100,000 in the next year. She can take you back to court. You jump it up to $200,000 a year after that, she can take you back to court. So it's not what it costs to support and take care of the kid. It's what your income is. It's based on your income. So if your standard of living goes up after you divorce her, which it may if you had a bad situation there, then her standard of living will go up too. Because I guarantee you, it doesn't cost as much to raise kids if you have them than it does if you have to pay child support, because I've done both. So I know. He needs to be quiet. Okay. He is too loud. My 13-year-old son. Okay. Also, in making decisions about property division, a judge will take certain factors into consideration, including each spouse's economic circumstances. Okay, let's say you're married and you're making $100,000 a year, and your wife has a part-time job. But maybe she's a substitute school teacher and she works a couple days a week. Yeah, good chance you might be paying her alimony if you've been married a while. But right, there's equal rights. Women want equal rights. They just don't want equal rights across the board. They want equal rights until it becomes time for divorce court. Then they can't take care of themselves and their kids. I believe whoever wants, this is just my opinion, whoever wants the kids should take care of them. I took my kids. I've never gotten any child support. I don't want it. I don't need it. Actually, I just got a letter from the Division of Child Service today saying that they've made my 18-year-old son, Henry, who just turned 19, ineligible for child support. Well, I've never gotten it anyway, so what difference? Do you hear me crying about it? No. I see these women complaining and moaning and pissing about their deadbeat ex-husband who doesn't pay child support. Well, you wanted the kids, take care of them. And hey, if you can do as well as a man And I hear this all the time, that men and women are the same and women can do exactly what a man does. Well, if I can take care of my kids, then surely you can do it. That's the way I look at it. But that's not the way women look at it mostly, and the court system doesn't look at it that way either. So another thing they look at before deciding what gets split up, the contribution of each spouse to acquisition of the property. Okay, what you put in to get the property. The value of each person's non-marital property. The conduct of the parties. So there you go right there. The conduct. Now we talk about having no-fault divorce, but yet he's going to take into consideration the conduct of the husband or the wife when he decides how to split up the property. Mm-hmm. Now that sounds like to me that we're using fault there. Okay, the conduct. So that's something you guys need to think about too before you get married. The best thing I can tell you before you get married is to vet that woman properly. Make sure that she was raised up with a masculine figure in her life and that she's willing to submit to the authority of a husband. And I know you guys don't like that. Some of you women don't like that word submit, but it really just means to cooperate so they can have a great life together for themselves and for their kids. Okay, where the children will live. Often the person who gets the kids also gets the house. And I know in my state, usually the person who gets the kids gets the house, and that's others that get kids, but it's pretty slim. It's usually when the mother has left or she's got a terrible drug problem or she's in jail. Okay. Now, if we want to go on to alimony, before we go on to alimony, let's ask Paulina what she thinks about it. What is your idea of marriage, Paulina? What do you think? What does that mean? Or when you enter into marriage with a man, what are the, what do we say, the covert agreements? Because there's really nothing. I don't really know if there's any kind of a legal agreement. I know in the church, they have certain things they say in the vows. That's their verbal agreement, but I really don't know if it's written down anywhere. So if you marry a man, what is your idea of how that's supposed to be? What is he supposed to do? What are you supposed to do to hold up your end of the contract, so to speak?
Well, I'd say, I mean, since I'm being taken care of, he's going out and working, I would hold up my, I guess you could say, end of the contract by staying home, and if we have kids, taking care of the kids instead of sending them to a daycare, where if I keep them in a daycare while they're little the entire time, I'm not going to really know my kid. If I have somebody taking care of my kid that's not me, how are you supposed to get to know your kid? Right. How are you supposed to, I don't know, grow a bond with your kid? It's the same as if you were to take them to a daycare. You can't breastfeed them, which that's the best way to go. True. They get bottle fed. And if I'm not taking care of my kid, then why would I have it in the first place? So I'd say before we have kids, I would, work and come home, take care of the house. And then if we do have kids, I'd stay home. I'd be a stay-at-home mom, which isn't a problem to me. I know a lot of girls out there are I want to be independent, I want to work and this and that. But when it really comes down to it, I would much rather, when my boyfriend or husband goes to work at 5 a.m, I would much rather be laying in bed until a little later during the day and then get up and take care of the house. I don't want to wake up early in the morning. It's just not my thing. But then again, everybody's different. But a lot of the females out here make it seem like you're being a slave towards the husband because of the fact that you want to stay home and take care of the kids and take care of the house. But really what it is he's providing for you, so you provide for him. He should come home to a meal and a clean house, not a dirty house, nothing to eat. It's just a mess. The laundry should be done.
He should come home to a place of peace and comfort.
Yeah, and a lot of
refuge.
A lot of women are just I'm not going to do that. I shouldn't have to clean the house, blah, 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 blah. Who's going to clean the house? If he's not cleaning it and you're not cleaning it, who's cleaning it? Nobody. The house is going to be dirty all the time. Neither of you guys have the time to clean the house if you're both working all day. So that marriage just doesn't work that way.
Well, it amazes me what you're talking about there, how a lot of these women will go out and work for a boss who really doesn't care about them whatsoever and submit to everything he asks them to do, and sometimes even bend over backwards to please him for a boss who's paying whatever he's paying him, but yet they don't want to stay home with the man or for the man and take care of their kids and do what he wants her to do. I don't see what and the husband loves her, wants to take care of her, and wants to be with her for the rest of his life. He's committed to being with her for the rest of his life. This boss is just going to use her for 20 years or whatever, and then he's going to hire somebody else or 10, whatever it happens to be. So it's really funny how they look at it as degrading to cooperate and do what their husband asks, but yet they'll go out and do it for somebody they don't know who really doesn't care about them, other than the fact that she is making money for the boss in the company.
Yeah, another thing too is like a lot of females will say that the reason why they do that for their boss is because they want to keep their job. But it's like, why aren't you doing that for your husband if you want to keep your husband?
Yeah, and keep your husband happy.
Yeah, and like provide for your kid. Like I think that's another reason why a lot of divorce happens, because like the woman in the relationship isn't doing what she needs to be to hold up her end of the marriage, and the husband is, or the husband isn't and the woman is. Right. So I feel like a lot of divorces come together as a disagreement, sort of like a lot of it happens because of disagreement, because it's like somebody doesn't want to hold up their end, like they just don't want to.
Yeah.
But I think as a female, holding up your end should be you staying home, taking care of kids, and like providing for your family, like that he's providing for your family while you stay home, cook a meal, what he should come home to. It's exactly what he should come home to. Like, you guys have all taught me how to cook and how to clean and how to take care of things for when you guys get home from work, which I know a lot of people out here like bash you guys for it and be like, you raised her to be like this, like something stupid. Women,
I never made you cook. I mean,
Yeah.
I see sometimes you make cookies and things, and these are just natural, inherent things women like to do on their own. I never make you make. I've made cookies and things.
I mean,
before
I
in the
was
past.
I was on the phone with someone the other day, and we were talking about me doing my laundry because I just did a whole bunch of laundry. I haven't done any in a while. I actually enjoy doing laundry. Like, I think it's just like, since I'm a woman, I kind of have that. Like, I just feel like cooking and cleaning, it's kind of exciting to me. Like, cooking to me is fun because it's not only like making food for you guys, but it's also me learning something new that I could use when I get older.
Right.
Like, I would rather want to know how to cook now than have to learn when I get older, because then I'm going to be struggling to make food for my husband when he comes home. Like, it's just a lot easier to learn when you're
TV
younger.
dinners, Polly. TV dinners.
I just think it's a
They
lot
still have TV
easier.
dinners. They still have.
I have
those?
no idea.
You know what that is? Maybe all you guys, some of you guys might know. TV dinners are just this little. It's in a little, like a tray, like they give you at school, except it's got tin foil over top of it. We used to put them in the oven and turn on and cook them. We call them TV dinners.
Yeah.
Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I don't think we
And
have
let me
those.
see, apple pie. I think was.
Well, those now are like little things you can put in the microwave, cook it, and then it's done in like 10 minutes, or like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then they eat it.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's better to learn when you're younger than it is when you get older.
Right.
Because if you pick up more.
Just a minute, Frank. Would you go up there and have him shut that door or whatever? His TV is a little loud. It's distracting, and that door there needs to be shut too. Go ahead.
But I feel like the reason why it's so much easier to learn when you're younger is because you pick up more things when you're younger.
Right.
And it's not like anybody's forcing me to do things like fold laundry, do people's laundry, clean, cook. Like, nobody's forcing me to do that. You guys aren't making me do something that I don't want to do. Like, I enjoy doing it. Like, sometimes I don't want to, but sometimes I do it anyway because it's something that I should do. I want to say it's kind of my job as a woman. And I know a lot of people would be like, that's not your job. Like, you can be independent. Like, you can go and work. You can go and do whatever you want. I can work, but I can still take care of my house, and I can still cook, and I can still clean. Like, I worked at Burger King for a while, but I'd still come home and I'd still cook and I'd still clean. Like, I still had time for everything. So, I mean, if you're working and you can take care of the house at the same time, go for it. But half the time, that's not the situation. It's like, that's just not how it works.
Well, see, the husband has duties too, because he has to come home and mow the yard, keep the house maintained, whatever happens to be, if he's got a plugged up sink. Of course, I guess a lot of guys nowadays don't even know how to do anything around the house. Half of them don't know how to fix anything. So I grew up in a different time. Okay. Well, let me see. Okay. So let's talk about alimony. Alimony is what's given. Where's that? Just a minute. Where's all that noise coming from? We need to turn that down. Okay. That's what happens when you got 6 kids in the house. 5 now, one's gone. All right. Okay, how does a judge decide alimony? Alimony, as some of you guys don't know, is what you pay to your wife to support her. I had to pay it once. I was paying $725 a month because my wife got pregnant before we got separated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's considered your kid until she has the kid, and then you get a test to see whether it's your kid or not. So anyway, I paid that, and I paid it while I'd go over and pick up my other kid, which was my adopted son. I would go over there and pick him up, and while she was in the house with her meth addicted husband and with the ankle brace, no boyfriend. I'm getting distracted with all that's going on. So that was a tough pill to swallow. So some of these things you may go through if you get married and you don't vet the girl properly and you marry the wrong girl, so to speak. But you got to be the right guy to get the right girl. So I was paying alimony for a while there. Turned out it was my kid. Women don't usually get pregnant. I tell you what happens a lot of times. Women will get pregnant by some, I hate to use the word loser because I think we're all winners if we just dig down there and do what we need to do. But they will abort a loser's kid, but I've never had a woman abort my kid, and I've had 9 of them. So, yeah, that's what they do. All right. So a judge won't award alimony in every case. Alimony is referred to as maintenance in Missouri. Before a judge will award maintenance, in your dissolution case, you'll need, and I have never known, I'm sure it's happened, a man who has ever got alimony. At least in our state, it doesn't happen. But it could occasionally. I'd have to look that up. Okay. You'll need a threshold test, or you'll need to meet a threshold test. The spouse requesting maintenance must lack sufficient property, including marital property, received in the dissolution to cover financial needs, be unable to meet financial needs through a job or because there are other reasons making it impossible to work, and show that the other spouse has the ability to pay maintenance. I know guys were paying child support. I'm not sure if they were paying alimony or maintenance, but they were living in some old junky trailer or had to live in the basement of their parents' house while the wife lived in a nice house they had with the kids and a new boyfriend she moved in. I mean, these things happen, guys. You don't think about that because you think when you're in love, everything's going to work out okay. And sometimes it does. What you have to remember is 50% of marriages end in divorce. 70% are initiated by the woman. So think about that before you decide to get married. But 50% are successful. Now, out of those 50%, we call it a successful marriage, but we only say that because they're still together. That doesn't necessarily mean it's successful. And if you have a divorce, it doesn't mean that you didn't have successful years during that marriage. Mm-hmm. Okay, each spouse's relative earning power, and usually the earning power of the man is much greater than the woman's. So think about that, guys. The standard of living during the marriage. There's one there. If you gave your wife a really good standard of living, and usually men marry down, which means they pick somebody who is not as financially capable as they are. So if you've provided her with a good standard of living, the judge may make you continue that for quite some time, especially if she has the kids. Okay. Each spouse's debts and assets, including those awarded to each in the divorce. The length of marriage, each spouse's age, physical, and emotional health. So these are all factors the judge is going to take in when he decides whether he's going to give your wife, because we're talking about the men here, how much he's going to give her, how long he's going to give it to her, and what you're going to have to pay. So you got to figure this. If you're going to have kids, and you got a couple of them, you're going to be paying for those kids until they get out of college. So that's something to really consider. I mean, happily ever after sounds good, but as I said, with a 50% divorce rate, 70% initiated by the woman, you better make damn sure that you've vetted this girl properly. You've gone out with her for a long time. You've seen her at her worst and how she acts around her parents, her friends, how she treats other people. Something to consider. Okay. whether the paying spouse can meet his or her own needs while paying maintenance. In Missouri, that doesn't matter too much. I know guys that couldn't make it. They were having to pay so much. And I know a couple that went to jail, because you will go to jail for not paying child support. But she won't go to jail if she doesn't let you see her kids. Any other relevant facts, for example, if one spouse supported the other through school or supported the other during the marriage. So if you've supported your wife through college and paid for all that, and you get a divorce, the judge may decide that you need to continue supporting her until she gets established in her career. So you're looking at that like, gosh dang, I paid for all that. Now she's going to divorce me. And now I still got to pay after we get divorced. And she can be with another man. It doesn't make any difference. She could be leaving you for another man. It doesn't make any difference, because no fault divorce. All right. What will happen to the children? Now that's something to think about too. Okay. A child's best interests are central to custody decision in Missouri. Generally, Missouri laws favor joint custody arrangement, but that's rare here in Missouri. I had one of those, but you don't get those easily. Where parents share physical and legal custody. Physical custody refers to where the child lives, and legal custody refers to the parent's rights to make decisions on the child's behalf. And I'll tell you something about that too. If she's got joint custody, she could take that kid to the doctor. She could have got him the shot for this latest crisis we had last couple of years, and you disagreed. It wouldn't make any difference. Nobody's going to do anything to the wife or the husband if he decides. Well, they might do something to the husband, because the courts favor the woman when it comes down to issues about the children. So that's something to remember. All these things may be written into a divorce agreement, but it's a civil matter, and the judge isn't going to do much about it unless you don't pay child support, because the state has to pick that up. That's why that's a big issue. But you getting to see your kid or being involved in the decision making, even if you have joint custody, is not a big issue. The court is not concerned about it. They'll tell you it's a civil matter and you can't do much about it. The judge may slap her hand if you want to spend the money to take her back to court. Okay. Joint legal. Physical custody arrangement allows parents to share in major decisions, gives each parent time with the child, although it might not necessarily be equal time. Unless you're able to work out an agreement with your spouse, both parents should submit a parenting plan to the court, setting forth your wishes for custody. A judge will review both proposed plans and then decide what arrangement is in the child's best interest. So here again, you got the court coming in and deciding what's best for your family. There's too much court involvement in the family, at least in this state and many states in the U.S. And once they get in there, it becomes quite a mess. All right. How will the judge determine child support in Missouri? Missouri has enacted a set of child support guidelines to help judges and parents estimate support awards. Yeah, it's like an award. It's like winning. Child support in your case will be based largely upon each parent's income. Yeah, on your income first, not the child's needs. The child's needs are second. Your income is first. And how much time each parent spends with the child under the court's custody arrangement. Generally, the custodial parent who primarily lives with the child will receive child support payments from the non-custodial parent. If you're wondering how much child support a judge will award in your case, you can use Missouri's online child support calculator. What would you give advice to someone what advice would you give to someone filing for divorce? Boy, I don't know. But here it says, one of the most important things to remember about the Missouri divorce process is that it can be an emotionally charged time. Yeah, some guys zero themselves out. It is an emotionally charged time. Your kids are taken away from you. You may not get to see them. And if you're having an unamicable divorce, where you guys aren't getting along and you're fighting each other, most women will use those kids to get what she wants. And she'll use them to put you in jail if she has to. I've talked to lawyers, and they all say the same thing. When it comes down to push shove, that woman will get those kids to lie about you. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. You're better off if you go through a divorce with your wife, you're better off just to agree to everything. I mean, unless it's just something there's no way you can live with, because you're not going to win, at least here in Missouri, if you're the man. And if she's a pretty good parent, she's doing what she's supposed to, you better just well give her what she wants. Fighting's not going to get you anywhere. I've lost everything 2 or 3 times. But in my case, my ex-wives had started taking drugs and drinking and things like that, so I felt it was the thing to do. But looking back in retrospect, maybe I should have just allowed things to play out by themselves. Okay. If you share children with your spouse, make sure their best interests are always at the forefront of your mind in your case. Be clear and proactive about your rights and the rights of your children. I'm telling you what, really, in the court system and divorce, sometimes in the legal judicial system as far as criminal law, it's how much justice can you afford. So that's something to remember too. Truth and justice is not always won out in the court system and divorce courts. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. Don't be petty, but don't be a doormat. That's good advice. And definitely don't use your children as pawns. And as I said before, that happens all the time. Too many times. All right, well, that's the end of that. So after you heard all that, Paulina, I'm sure you've never heard any of that before.
Mm-mm.
What do you think about all that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous how, like, the women usually get more, I guess you could say, justice in the case.
But you're tainted because you grew up with a bunch of men. I'm joking. Go ahead.
I just think it's unfair either way. I mean, people would probably say, like, yeah, it's unfair until it actually happens to you and the guy wins the case and you don't. It's like, I wouldn't say that I don't really care, but I mean, if he was supposed to win the case or whatever and I wasn't, then that's right. Like, just because I didn't win, like, I mean, if he was a bad father, like he was beat down, like he was a really bad father, then yes.
So what would you consider a bad father?
He beats the kids. He doesn't take care of anybody. Like, I don't know. I guess that's kind of how it is. Like, he doesn't take care of the kids. I'm not sure. I know a lot of women. I know a lot of women take the child support and spend it on themselves instead of spending it on the kid.
Right.
So that's why I think a lot
of they're wearing nice clothes and they're going to Saks Fifth Avenue and buying nice clothes, and they're going to the treasure shop, the dime store, and the Goodwill to get their kids' clothes. Huh?
Yeah. So it's like, I know a lot of, I've seen like a lot of cases before where the woman gets super mad because of the fact that like she's not getting enough child support when it's like, I'd say like, say it's $3,000 a month and that's not enough for her. Like, it's also, it's not enough. She doesn't think it's enough for her, but it's not even supposed to be going to her. It's supposed to be going to the kid. Right. So that's why a lot of them get super mad about it, because it's not enough for them. It's not enough for whatever. Like, the girl doesn't have to be working or anything, but the child support is what she uses. Like, she can go get a job. Like, there was this case I saw. She could go get a job. She could go work, but she said she didn't feel like it because she was getting paid child support.
Yeah.
So she had to end up paying, like you said, a couple $1,000s. And she got super mad about it because the price of the child support went down because his income grew. So I know a lot of women get mad about it, and they're like, well, that's not enough child support, blah, blah, blah. But it's not for you. It's for the kid. So they don't spend any of it on the kid. They maybe spend like $100 on the kid, but they don't spend the rest of it on the kid. Right. They spend it on themselves.
Right. Huh. Yeah, it's a bad situation. And the kids are the ones that suffer when the parents break up. And it's bad enough that they break up, but then you have all this fighting. And then you got the mother at home bad-mouthing the father. And then sometimes you got the father doing the same thing. Yeah. So the kid grows up pretty confused and many times feeling like it's their fault. But it's not the kid's fault. It's just the parents couldn't get along. It's just too easy to opt out for divorce. And in my time, it was actually people were kind of shamed for having a divorce, for getting a divorce. It's like premarital pregnancy too. If a woman got pregnant and she wasn't married, a lot of times she'd go away to have the kid. Mm-hmm. And nowadays I see people, it's almost like they have divorce parties and it's like they're celebrating their divorce. And it's really kind of a sad thing, especially if you have kids. So that's something to take into consideration.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up today. Our guest couldn't make it. Mark, I guess he's got some bad internet connection. Be sure to check out my books on Amazon, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels. Thanks to Wade Emery. He donated through Cash App. He donated some money to support the channel. I appreciate you. Check out Affy Kingdom books at Amazon. Great books. I'm reading, just finished with one, almost finished the second one. For all you players and young players and OGs, check them books out. They'll be very helpful to you. Instagram, Mark's Inspiration. Be sure to join us tomorrow on the Dragon Ship with RP Thor, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Sunday evening. Gonna have a great show. And let me see, I can't remember what the topic is, but I got a post on my YouTube channel. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next weekend. No, I will see you next week. I'm going out to Oakland to meet Affy, so I may do a show from out there, 6 o'clock, just to replace this. So, and maybe my tech man, Frank, will have things squared away where they're working next week, right? I better go. Take care.